Today we're talking, are units or houses the better investment? For those that are new here, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button, it does help out the algorithm. Now let's jump into it. So there's always been a lot of debate in the investment community whether units or houses are the better investment. Today I want to break this down and give some of the pros and cons to both and allow you to work out what's going to be the best buy for you. As always, this isn't financial advice. I don't know your situation, so make sure you seek independent financial advice. This is just for entertainment purposes and hopefully passes along a little bit of knowledge to you. So, first and foremost, we're talking about affordability. Obviously, the price difference between a unit and a house can be quite considerable. If you're just starting to get into the market, there's obviously a lot of pros here in regards to affordability and the price point you can pick up in a unit for versus what you may need to pay for a house. Especially if you're trying to stay local to your local area, you might be looking at $1 million to get into the housing market, but might be able to buy an apartment for $300,000 or $400,000. So that's a big appeal, especially if you're first just starting to get into the game. Saving a deposit for a house may be quite unachievable, where saving a 10% deposit on a $400,000 unit is something you could achieve in 1 or 2 years. So this for me is a massive pro towards units. Just the affordability and how easy it is for the average Joe to be able to get into the game. And like I often say, it's hard to understand the rules of the game until you get into the game. So this is where I say the affordability of a unit is a big pro. Number 2 is looking at the proximity of a property to where the main employment hub is for an area. There's no point having a property 400 kilometers out of an employment hub because you're going to struggle to rent it. This is often where the argument for a unit is a big win over a house. Units typically are built near big employment hubs close to CBDs. So if you are looking at units versus houses, make sure you also take into consideration in that argument proximity. If you can buy a nice solid house close to an employment hub, close to a CBD, this is going to be a big positive. Otherwise, if that property is out of your budget and you're looking at buying it miles out of the CBD, maybe consider looking at buying units. It really will help with your rental vacancies and really help with your bottom line as an investment. The other factor that's worth taking into consideration is what returns you're going to be getting on a house versus a unit. Typically, units and apartments do have a higher rental return on the purchase price compared to houses. Now, if you're just starting out, this can be a big positive. I'm not a big fan of buying cash flow negative properties. That's negative geared properties that are going to cost you money each week and affect your lifestyle or your cash flow. Where apartments typically do return a higher net return. So this may be a pro of looking at units and seeing what returns you can get versus a house. Obviously, the downside of this is typically units will return smaller capital growth when compared to houses. So houses typically over the long run, it's your land that is appreciating in value, where a unit, really the building's depreciating while the land's increasing. You hold less land when you buy a unit than when you buy a house. The building will depreciate in value where your land will appreciate in value. However, for a unit, it doesn't always have to be the case. If you're buying a solid, well-constructed unit, it's easy to go in there and renovate the bathroom, renovate the kitchen and bring it up to date. Where a house, the same thing, it will be depreciating over time, your land's appreciating. The chances of you getting to the point where you actually demolish the house is very, very slim. If you're buying something that's well built, the chances are you're going to want to hold onto that property in its current state for a long time into the future. So I get the pros and cons of this argument, and I get where people come from when they're saying a house is going to appreciate in value more than a unit. But both properties you will be wanting to refurb and put money into over time and into the future. One of the big arguments I hear that's pro houses over units is that units you will have to pay body corporate fees. Now, it's important to understand what actually is included in body corporate fees and how those costs relate to buying a house also. So your body corporate fees typically will cover your building insurance, any external building maintenance, plus all your garden and your pool maintenance for that complex. Where a house, you will have to insure the house yourself for building insurance, you will have to look after any gardens, and you will have to look after any external maintenance. There's obviously a big pro for units if you live out of town, as the body corporate will maintain your gardens and any external maintenance. Where with a house, you really are relying on your property manager to keep those upgrades. Obviously the body corporate managers, someone will be employed to look after the complex and they're going to be making a profit. So body corporate fees typically are slightly more expensive than all your inbuilt costs of home ownership. However, I don't think you should be discounting units purely based on the fact that you have to pay body corporate fees versus a house which doesn't have body corporate fees but does have those other outgoings. So if you are looking at buying an investment property and considering whether a unit or a house is the best option for you, like I say, it's important to take into those factors that I have discussed today. That is the proximity, the rental returns, the vacancy rates, the construction of the building, and your ongoing fees. So really weigh those things up, and you will find that there's often pros and cons for both a house and a unit, and it will really depend on where you're buying as to what's going to be the standout. If you have enjoyed this video, guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We do put out a heap of content and love bringing you new videos, and also give that like button a like. It really helps out our channel and gets these videos shown to more people and makes it worth creating them. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and have a great day.